Greetings everybody, my name's Troy Devlin. Thank you so much for watching Mindfully Fit on YouTube. I'm a health coach and mindfulness guide. In this video, I was going to talk a little bit about how to approach weight loss, how to approach losing some belly fat, how to approach getting in shape from a beginner's standpoint. You know, it's a mindset thing. It's all about how you look at things. And I used to be big and fat. I lost over 100 pounds, got in shape, worked as a fitness professional for many years, and then during the pandemic, I got fat. So I learned some lessons there, and I thought I could share my experience and my evolution of understanding in terms of nutrition, integrative nutrition, off-the-plate nutrition, all that stuff. I'll share my story, share my experience, try to give you some tips on if you're just starting out, how you can win. You can do this thing. I got you 100%, and people win all the time at this, and you can do it. But what I would ask before we get into that, small ask, boop that subscribe button for me. It really, it's huge for me. It helps me out a lot. It doesn't cost you a thing, but it means the world to me. Now, I'll talk about my evolution and how I lost over 100 pounds and, became relatively successful in what we could call fitness, and then became quite fat during lockdown myself. Talk about how it happened, how I got myself out of it. I'm losing those lockdown love handles, so I think I'm in the clear now. I was able to identify the problem, and so I'll share my story with you guys. Why was I so fat in the beginning? What went wrong there? Well, I had no understanding of macronutrients. In other words, I had an understanding of food in terms of two categories. There was either healthy food or unhealthy food. And really in those days, in my thinking, there was no breakdown in terms of fats, proteins, carbohydrates, and even to break down the carbohydrates even further, sugar, fiber. There was no consideration of any of those things. I was vaguely aware of calories, but one of the reasons why people fail in their diets is they just cut calories with no discernment as far as being specific in terms of macronutrients. So in the beginning, what was required of me and where most people would benefit the most from focusing their efforts is in this one area. Macronutrient education, being able to identify fats, carbs, proteins, be able to identify those foods and manipulate them in such a way so as to reach your goals, whatever they may be. If you're trying to lose some weight, one way to manipulate your macronutrients is to increase your protein because it helps you feel full, and because also it doesn't have the type of impact that like carbohydrate foods have. Many people find that just a mindful reduction in carbohydrate consumption coupled with increasing proteins, and many people find that having a reasonable amount of healthy fats is good and beneficial on a mindful dietary program. So in other words, most people typically overconsume carbohydrates. Most of us would benefit from reducing those, and we can use protein as a tool to combat hunger. Thankfully, if you're watching this on the internet, you're probably not in any type of risk of protein deficiency. We're very blessed to have access to so much protein in the developed world that hardly anyone is protein deficient, but it helps to use protein as a tool, like I said, to combat hunger. Hunger is a thing, and it's one of the reasons that leads us to overeat. We all experience it. I experience it myself, and it's tough. Hunger, so we have to have a way of addressing that. That's protein, and that's fiber. When you eat carbohydrates, you don't want to eat sugars. You want to eat fibrous carbohydrates. Why? Because it fills you up, helps you feel full, helps your digestive process move along. So consider fiber as a tool against hunger as well. Fiber through fibrous carbohydrates, green leafy vegetables, stuff like that, it's great. Coupled with protein, because it doesn't have the type of impact on your system. It's not going to make you hold a bunch of water and make you big and puffy and fat, like over consuming the carbohydrate foods sometimes will for some people. Okay, so that's just an example of nutritional education. Learn about those macronutrients. Once you can identify them, then you can manipulate them. Now, I was very fortunate to learn this in my early 20s. There was a gentleman who had access to the internet. It was before I had access to the internet. He told me about macronutrients, taught me about it, taught me about how to manipulate them, and you can do it too. But fast forward another 20 years, now it's the pandemic, now it's lockdown. Now I find myself in one of the lowest points from a mental health standpoint that I probably ever have found myself. It was really bad, and what happened when my mental state was so bad? My physical state went to crap. I got big and fat. I gained like 30 pounds of body fat, and I was sporting what I refer to lovingly as the lockdown love handles. So, interestingly enough, I was in such a bad place after, towards the end of the pandemic. I live in New York State, so we locked down here, and things were pretty. It was a pretty tough pandemic for us, and my mental health really suffered, and so as a result of that, I looked for curative solutions. I looked for ways to improve my mental health, and I found some therapy. I found a wonderful immersive healing retreat that I went to, and what else? I came upon various practices such as cold immersion and sauna and ways of physically addressing inflammation, which can be a contributing factor to some of the psychological pain that I was experiencing. And interestingly enough, what I found by exploring various psychological healing modalities, like I said, the various therapy and like nature meditation in general, but some of those more ephemeral practices, I noticed focusing on the healing aspect, really trying to create an environment that was conducive to healing my mental health. As soon as I started addressing those mental health things, all of a sudden I had abs again. The lockdown love handles went away. I had a six-pack in no time just by not changing any type of exercise thing that I was doing. That didn't change at all. All that changed was I began to address healing my mental health. And when I really focused on mental health healing type practices, there's many of them, but when I focused on them, I noticed the belly fat went away. So the invitation is to explore that for yourself. Everyone is different. Not everyone likes the thought of meditation. Not everyone likes the thought of therapy. Not everyone likes the thought of going out into nature. And if that's you, it's totally fine. It's okay. We're all different. But what I found is that some of those practices, when they create an environment where you are able to heal mentally, there's a direct connection between how you're feeling mentally and your body, and that can be reflected, I'm sure, in various hormonal states and states of inflammation. And when you're inflamed, it creates a lot of pain in your body, and when you're in pain, it's hard to have a pleasant mood and have things go your way when you're in pain. And it can get out of hand, and there are ways of addressing it. And so that's what the video is about. Trying to create awareness. I hope you found benefit. I hope that if you're in a place where you have a little bit of belly fat, or maybe you're feeling like, maybe you're feeling like you're inflamed to the point where it's affecting your mental health, or vice versa. Just know you're not alone. You're not stuck there. There is a way out. There's 1,000,001 various modalities that you can try, that other people have tried and have worked for them. It might work for you too. I thank you for watching the video, and hope to see you soon.